Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and being a producer of Wrestle Massacre as well as Inside Movies Galore, I am David Strege, and welcome to Delusions of Grandeur. Enjoy the reviews. I certainly did.
Okay, Dave, that's it. Screw you and your college flunkies. I've had enough of this from you and from everyone else. I know what you guys are trying to do. Break me down, drive me out of the force. Well, it's going to take a hell of a lot more than a lame prank like this to get Curtis Mooney to throw in his badge, so fuck you. Over.
Did you miss me? I guess not.
So just a heads up, ladies and gentlemen, I am transferring much of my reviews from Inside Movies Galore over to Delusions of Grandeur because we are separate entities now. Originally, I was doing reviews under the guise of Inside Movies Galore, but I have now transferred much of my work over to Delusions of Grandeur. So the review that you are about to listen to is actually put out by Delusions of Grandeur. It's just my review at the time was under Inside Movies Galore. So when you listen to it, it is from Delusions of Grandeur, but this was recorded on my Inside Movies Galore and under that guise. So have a listen and let me know what you think. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Inside Movies Galore. I am your host, David Strege, and I figured I'd go on about another film that I recently watched, and it was directed by Akira Kurasawa in 1980 under his production company, as well as working with Toho, and then eventually in the very end when Toho dropped out, 20th Century Fox with the help of Francis Ford Coppola and George Lucas, in fact, of Star Wars. So I love the fact that we had both of those American filmmakers siding in the end with helping out with this film venture. Now, originally, the film was to have slated a Japanese actor by the name of Shintaro Katsu in the title role, but after he came in on the first day of the shooting was over, he had evidently angered Kurosawa with bringing his own camera crew to record Kurosawa's filmmaking methods, because at the time Kurosawa's filming methods were kind of unorthodox and very animated, and I imagine that he was very hard to work under. But eventually, the actor by the name of Tatsuya Nakadai, who was also a well-known actor at the time, came in to play the title role of Shingen
Takeda. He also played the Kagemusha, which I'll get to that in a moment. The film in which I am reviewing is, in fact, called Kagemusha. It was filmed in 1980. And every time I saw this film in Half Price Books, I kept on thinking to myself, that was pricey. But I'm glad I finally picked it up. Glad I finally went and saw it, because it is a very beautiful and very emotional film, and it showed me a little bit of the atmosphere that might have been at that point in time, and maybe how a samurai warlord's cabinet of officials might have acted at that point in time. Now, in the very beginning of this film, we have it. It is taking place in the Sengoku period of Japan's, with Takeda Shingen, who is evidently a samurai warlord of the Takeda clan, and he meets with his brother Nobukado, who is played by Tsutomu Yamazaki, who also I think was a very good actor in this film. For Nobukado, evidently had played his double once before, but I'll get to that in a little bit. I like this very beginning scene because we have Shingen meeting with his brother Nobukado after they've picked up a thief from being almost crucified or killed, and he looked exactly like Shingen. So they ultimately were talking amongst each other with the thief in the room, and basically saying, "Hey, he looks exactly like you. Can we, in fact, make him represent you? Actually, double for you?" Because in these political times, it was probably even safer to put someone else up on the throne and in the public eye, for a very important face for this particular tribe. So they basically had gotten together to see if he would be useful, and they decided to use him. And it was later, when Shingen's army had besieged a castle of Tokugawa's Ieyasu, one evening when Shingen visited the battlefield, he was shot by a sniper who mapped Shingen's previous movements in the camp, who had actually watched him. Now, after this moment when he was shot, there's a funny moment that I remember. There is a lot of armies that are sleeping, and evidently, in order to send news to other warlords, there is a character that evidently is sent as a messenger to these other warlords to let them know the news of what is happening. And this dude, he runs all the way through all of these different armies that are sleeping, and they all get up like they are at attention, and you see them all come up like Domino Rally or something like that, and it's just amazing that they don't like kill him in his stead. But ultimately, Shingen soon dies from these mortal wounds that he had. But Nobody really knew. Nobody outside of his cabinet members knew, and they brought in this Kagemusha. Now Shingen's rivals, who were known as Oda Nobunaga, Tokugawa Ieyasu, and Uesugi Kenshin, they each think about the consequences about the withdrawal of his army at the time, and they didn't know of his death. Now, when the Kagemusha replaced him on the throne, he had actually tried to steal from his dead lord before they had taken the body of Shingen's corpse to Lake Suwa. And meanwhile, spies from the different armies are watching what happens with the Takeda clan, and they wonder exactly what's happening. Why are they taking this this thing out in this boat to this lake? And they come back as saying that they are offering up some kind of sacrifice to the gods of the lake or something like that. But in any case, the Kagemusha, who used to be the thief, is asked, or actually ordered, to for the next 3 years to go and be Schengen to the for the Takeda clan, so that they can at least keep the peace. Ultimately, he is able to convince the Takeda Katsuori's son and Shingen's grandson, who was very close with Shingen at the time. And he's ultimately able to win the crowd for the most, win the Takeda clan's public consensus for most of the 3 years. I love this film for a couple of reasons. There is a sense of loyalty in the Kagemusha that you have to kind of wonder, how does one man give up a life of thievery for a lord that he doesn't really know personally, and how is he able to survive for so long under the disguise as being this warlord in charge of all of these people for so long? You know, by the Lord, and he's haunted by what happens on some of the battlefields that he has to be on. One of the parts that I thought was kind of funny is while Nobukado was showing him the grounds of the samurai's place of residence, in one of the rooms there are guards that are the 3 guards that are in behind this sliding door that he said these guys are here like 24/7. I'm like, I would hate to be one of those guards that would be there for 24/7. The other thing, the other scene that will leave an impression on me forever, well, yeah, is the very ending. And I don't want to say too much about the ending. The ending was executed beautifully. The thing is, when the son of this warlord goes up against the 2 factions of armies, and you know that he's not going to win, they basically not only show the deaths of these samurai that go up against these enemies of theirs, They also show the deaths of the horses, and it is very emotional to see the horses struggle, and how the animals themselves were hurt in this battle of Nagashino, which was a counteroffensive against Nobunaga at the time. I mean, they were shot down by other men with guns on this hill, and they only had spears. They didn't have any bullets or anything like that. They were like this force. And not only that, there was a coat of arms that was very, very cool. One had fire, forest, and mountain, and there was one more. But I got the assumption that the Takeda clan had at once been a very well put together force of nature, if they had been used the correct way. And when the son had his own ideas, it in a sense took and made his suicide of his people all the much more sadder. So in a sense that this was a sad film. I also thought that what was even much more depressing was the fact of when the Kagemusha was outcast. Once he had been found out, he had fallen in love with the grandson of his warlord so much that he could not leave from the area because he had to see what was going to happen to this grandson and to this people, because he felt much loyalty, having been the leader for the last 2.5 years. So I thought the acting on the other thing is that I got that there was a sense of, you know, structure behind the political advisors of the warlords. They pretty much kind of sort of ran the warlords war room. I mean, they were leaders of some they had power in what they had to say. So in any case, I enjoyed this film. It was long, but it was very beautiful, very emotional, very strategic in its execution. I love the camera angles in the film. So I didn't want to say a lot more, but these were my thoughts on this film, and I thought that it was entertaining, and it was a different samurai film. Now, I have not seen any other Kurosawa films before this, but I so totally enjoyed watching this, and it was amazing.
You were good, kid, real good. But as long as I'm around, you'll always be second best, see?